Welcome back to another edition of the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum podcast. It was one of the most significant happenings to hit the world of Western fine art. Recently, the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum hosted two outstanding organizations for a unique joint exhibition. The Traditional Cowboy Arts Association showcases the best of Western craft. High-end saddle making, bit and spur making, silversmithing, and rawhide braiding were proudly on display. The Cowboy Artists of America features art from 24 members who celebrate the West through painting, drawing, and sculpture. Guests of the museum experienced various educational activities, followed by the marquee sale, banquet, and a dance.
It's really good to be back for another podcast with the National Cowboy Museum. Well, we've been busy this summer getting ready for our fall schedule of exhibitions, and today we're really privileged and lucky to have two of those folks here representing those groups. Cowboy Crossings is a joint exhibition of two art organizations. And Tim Cox is the president of the Cowboy Artists of America, while Scott Hardy is the president of the Traditional Cowboy Arts Association. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks first for having us back here, and we appreciate everything. And for our organization, it's great to be back home again. We started here at the Cowboy Hall that it was called back then in 1966, the first CAA art show. And since that time, a lot of other organizations and shows have used this model. Art shows have sprung up all over the country in museums and different venues having Western art. We left the hall in 1972 and stayed in Phoenix for 37 years, but let me tell you, it's wonderful to be back home and all of us pulling for the same direction, the preservation of the culture and Western lifestyle. I'm glad to be home.
Well, for us, for the TCAA, it's been our home for 13 years. It's our association's 14 years old, and it's a pleasure to show with Tim and the CAs. We had a lot of encouragement from their members when we started our association. Some of their founding members were very instrumental in helping us get in the right direction and get moving along. And our whole purpose is craftsmanship, to honor the Western culture, to show people the connections between function and art, and so to get the opportunity to be here at the National Cowboy Museum and to show alongside the CAs, it's an honor and a pleasure, and we're all happy to be here.
I really want to thank the TCA guys for considering to show alongside of us. I think we got a unique and one-of-a-kind show, none that I know out there like us, and I really appreciate them working with us along these lines and to make an exceptional event.
And to that, we've got a mutual friend, Don Hedgepeth. He's an honorary CA and a great friend of the TCAs, and always helped us. He's been a keynote speaker for us a few times, and Don, one of Don's favorite sayings is always "Cowboy to Cowboy." So, Cowboy to Cowboy, we're glad to be here with you.
Thank you, Scott.
This joint exhibition, Cowboy Crossings, is really an important and historic weekend for the National Cowboy Museum. How important is the sale part of this, the role of the patron, someone who buys your works of art?
From my view, patrons are, for me as a craftsman artist, I can't survive without them. If somebody doesn't appreciate my work enough to pay me enough money to buy material to survive, to raise my family, to live the life I need to live, I've got to go do something else. But not only do they help me, they help everybody, because it's by buying great works that inspires great craftsmanship, great art. None of us just do the work for this show throughout a year. We do other work. The better we get at this, the better we can do all our work. So when my career is over, or when that collector's done and he he gets rid of that work that normally goes to the public somehow, ends up in the public hands. The museum's full of it. So to me, the patron is the main ingredient, other than imagination.
The patron has always been important to the arts. Back in the Renaissance period, when the churches would commission art, that's the great art that we see now. All through time, art has been supported by the patrons, and like Scott says, we couldn't survive without them. We're not independently wealthy. This isn't a hobby. That we have to have support some way to keep creating these works of art, and that when the dollar figure comes out, that's a measure for the public a lot of times if it's worthy or not. You have a lot of grassroots stuff that is very important, but those patrons that contribute to the museum and buy our art, they're the ones that really help keep it alive by supporting it and giving us means to do so.
The money you get from a patron for a piece of work, it's more than what that allows you to do. Exactly what Tim's saying is better yourself. Follow your craft further, develop it further, test the borders, test the boundaries, and everybody benefits from that. Whether it's the next generation craftsman, whether it's the public, whether it's the next patron, it's just a beneficial, crucial element.
Tim, today a lot of people are nervous about the business economy and Wall Street and everything else. What do you see as the future for Western art and artists in the United States?
I think just as with the American West and the cowboy, it's a real challenge to keep it out there and to keep it alive. The countryside's shrinking and changing. Fewer people are familiar with it and can relate to it. But hopefully, if we can be successful in what we're trying to do and showing the public how wonderful it is and how and enjoying that art, I honestly believe we can help revive that, because people like to be associated with successful things and want to go back and research it and be part of that. And when they see our passion for what we're doing, just like with the Cowboy Hall of Fame here, museum, they are preserving that for generations to come. And when I came in today, I saw a whole group of school kids that were leaving here, that the museum brings those groups in that didn't have the chance or the experience on their own to experience that, and it's preserved here in this museum, and hopefully our art will do a lot of the same. When people see it, maybe it'll spark an interest in them, that they will want to experience something like that. So that breeds more excitement and more interest in it, and we've got to keep it out there and keep it alive.
I think the more we get involved in technology and the more people are sitting in front of computers or their workstations or whatever, the more important this becomes. People love the wilderness. They love being outside. They love the strength of the cowboy. Anywhere you go in the world, people look at it as independence and strength. That's what they see in that, and that's what Western art brings to people, that feeling of independence and strength. When you do a piece, when you create a piece, you should almost be able to feel the wind. You should feel the struggle and the strength of the West in that piece. And I think whether people are attached to that or not, I've traveled all over the world, done shows all over the world, and there's people that I've met that live in Germany that have never experienced any of this, that are darn sure connected and darn sure feel connected to it. And for them, it's almost like going to a spa. I mean, to be able to look at a fine painting or hold a fine piece of Western craftsmanship in their hand, they get that feeling of the rugged West and enjoy it. And that's maybe when, as far as technology advances as people get further away from that, the more they want to come back to it, whether they can actually achieve it or not. This gives them a little respite. This gives them just a place to go and rest and dream. And that's, if we can offer that to people, I'm a happy guy.
And on that too, the technology part of it, I've noticed through my years that as technology comes along, there's always a form that replaces that other technology, so you're not able to go to your computer with the same programs you had before, or the VHS to the DVD. And when archaeologists study cultures through the years, they study the artwork, they study the cave paintings, the Roman times, the artwork that they had. Those are the hard copy things that will always be there. And yeah, the new now generation, they look at it on the TV screen or the computer screen, but this is for generations to come. It will be there. There's art in the museums from the 1500s all through, and that's how generations judge cultures. It's on their art, because they go by the wayside, but art defines cultures.
People talk about the traditional West, and what they don't understand is it never stood still. It was about progress. You know, that's how they came over here, and most of them in the beginning would ride what you call a plantation saddle, or a mimic of a military saddle, and how it morphed into the Western saddle because they needed that to work. You know, and that's what we're still doing today. Traditional Cowboy Arts, it's about honoring the past and moving into the future. And you go over to the CA side and you see paintings of Tim's and Bill Owen and that, and they're painting the cowboy today, working today. And that's very important to me. It's still there. The culture's still there. The horse, both groups are doing is honoring the horse. And a horse is very relevant today. If you want to just look in broader terms, clinicians are doing a great business because people have time to relax and enjoy. They take a horse and learn how to work with a horse. It all goes back to the same thing: our culture and our heritage.
Of course, for our museum visitors, this exhibition isn't just about this sale and opening weekend. It'll be up for a couple of months. What would you say to those visitors that are going to be coming later in the show, in the exhibition season, to see this show, or maybe that are going to see the same type of work from your two organizations next fall?
That gives the ordinary man on the street a chance to view this art that these patrons have purchased here and done, supported. That helps the museum, in my view, be able to afford to show this and to put it on, and lets everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but the majority of people that want to see it, the opportunity to come in and experience what we have put down on canvas or sculpture, or with the TCA and their different crafts, rawhide braiding, bit and spur making, and saddle making, leather. I mean, it's such a wonderful experience, and to see all of those things and to experience it, and to have it on public display for the time that it is just wonderful. And I'm looking for a long relationship with the TCA and the museum here, and what a wonderful thing for the public.
I think that one of the funnest things that people should walk away from in here is everything in here is done by hand. Everything, doesn't matter which side of this room you go to, it's done with head, heart, and hand, as they say, imagination. None of this work could be achieved without great imagination. So you get that much physical energy in a room this size. I truly hope people come in here and just enjoy, just absolutely experience that energy, the thought, the culture, and walk away, maybe just change just a little bit. Maybe they just understand us just a little more. Maybe they understand there's people out there that are still making their living with their hands.
Scott and Tim, and thank you for both taking time out of this very busy weekend. I mean, I just had a little sliver of being presidents of both organizations. It was hard to catch you when you had a free moment, but thank you for taking the time to talk to our viewers.
Thank you.
It's really been a fun day at the National Cowboy Western Heritage Museum. We've got hundreds of people in here for Cowboy Crossings, the first joint exhibition of the Cowboy Artists of America and the Traditional Cowboy Arts Association. I wish you were all here. Put it on your calendar for next year. In the meantime, come see our next podcast.
This podcast is a companion to our quarterly publication, Persimmon Hill Magazine. It's a great resource for keeping you in touch with our great Western heritage and is available by subscription. Visit nationalcowboymuseum.org for details. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.